There is a very interesting research from EarTop, which essentially are trying to analyze EGM, so the Euronext Growth Milan, and the impact of AI and the growth of AI company within that space. What is also interesting is that they are also crafting what is called an AI index. They gathered about 25 companies and we're trying to track the performance, compare with the FTSE Italy growth, and surprising results. I mean, of course, AI is growing faster, plus 19% in terms of performance against the minus 23% of the FTSE Italy growth.
Not all of them are probably AI native, so they were started recently with AI at their core. They became focused on AI later on.
So as per usual, kind of May, June, we see like a slowdown, a little bit of the activity, I would say. I don't know if Nick, like historically in your experience, this is what we've seen. Definitely in August, there is like a kind of a hard stop, I would say, for restarting in September. So we're just seeing the beginning of the big slowdown, I would say. Even though like a few rounds are still there, like few investors are still active, and there are like interesting elements that appear in the ecosystem. So let's start with the biggest round of last week, Nova, talent tech startup, raising 3.2 million in an early stage round from CDP Venture Capital by Venture Partners and Doha Tech Alliance. Doha Tech Angels. Very interesting deal. So a couple of points here, starting from the product itself. So just to give some context, the company was founded in 2020. So big history of growth. Very ambitious goal, which is kind of the idea of like taking LinkedIn and making a little bit more selected and professionals, kind of bringing back everything that was happening in all the membership app back in 2016 and 17, but with a very interesting twist, which is a B2B sort of twist. So kind of mixing this like membership model with LinkedIn, with the scouting tech kind of elements. I also believe they do like private events, which are really relevant for the different professional communities. So they do like even physical events. So it's a very interesting angle to see. And people in Nova actually support a lot of like a bigger corporation for hiring in virtue of the fact that they can apparently they can really gather a lot of top talent in different fields, especially in tech, of course. So they've been helping recruiting for like tech companies for sure. And the round is definitely not small. The company is definitely like very young. So yeah, very interesting deal, and very curious to see what they're gonna do, because they started in Italy, but they're quickly expanding outside. So very interesting deal.
Yeah, it's actually an international team. So the founders are 3 people from 3 different nationalities, and that's interesting. One of the 3 is Italian. I believe the holding or the headquarters are not currently in Italy, somewhere else in Europe. But still, the fact that CDP is leading this round is a signal that they will be investing in Italy quite a bit. I think a few data points to be noted here is that for CDP, the fund leading the investment is the service tech one. So in the big under the big umbrella of the corporate investments branch of CDP, and then we have additional investors from the Middle East, if I get it right.
That's curious. That's one of the few actually that we've seen where Middle East and Europe kind of mix, especially in Italy. I think the angle is really to bring in the interview, I think in the article where they were saying how they want to bring talent also in the Middle East, which is essentially an underserved tech space. So tech is moving really fast, but it's very much underserved. So that's where they want to play, and that's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's a strong signal, I would say, for that. Yeah. Another element which is very interesting to me is the fact that they're heavily relying in AI for kind of matching. So one of the bigger part of their value proposition is really to using AI. So this is something that like a bigger platform like LinkedIn is not directly leveraging yet. So I'm curious to see how exactly they're gonna defend themselves from that. Probably from the barrier in the beginning of getting top talent on board in the first place. LinkedIn is way more accessible to anyone, pretty much, without much filtering. So yeah, that's definitely something interesting. Or maybe that's also like a glimpse in the future of professional social networks. I mean, instead of a big overall catch-all kind of social network, they are playing with this idea of going smaller, more selected, and more professional and higher quality. So yeah, it's a mix. It's an interesting mix where recruiting meets a social network in a way, I would say. Because I was checking actually the application process also, among other thing, involves like a test to test your quantitative skills or something like that, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a weird way to select talent. Did you apply?
I didn't yet. I didn't. But I found it curious because it's serious. I mean, it's an interesting take on that. So that people that want to go through that process, which of course it takes a little bit of effort, is maybe a self-selective tool to actually get on board the right people with the like a very similar mindset to what they're doing. So very interesting angle.
I wonder if it is used to select or to inform, like to know which type of talent are you. I mean,
yeah.
I would be curious about drilling down talent to only the ability of thinking quantitatively and not by creativity, for example.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. I mean, or they are positioning in a specific way. It's
absolutely.
Mm.
So my feel is that at the beginning they're just using it as a filtering tool, and then probably they're gonna be like, okay, maybe in a iteration two, let's say use the proper like sort of heavy lifting personality testing, and that's really gonna leverage a lot of this content. So very interesting for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Moving on, let's mention really quick what you guys have been doing in Primo Capital. So, congrats on supporting the latest round of Enterome, raising 19 million. So very interesting. So that's absolutely great. Primo is moving and is like putting interesting gaining the interesting position in different fields. So digital plus some of the other highest growing market in the tech space. So congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. I know absolutely nothing about that deal, of course. It's so far away from my area of expertise but that's one of the deals from the health tech team. So
the health tech team, yeah.
Good job to the team.
Yeah, fantastic. So moving on, the other element that caught my attention, Nick, was your mention of and I encourage listener to check it out. It's the analysis of the state of AI in Italian microcaps. So essentially, there is a very interesting research from IRTOP, IRRTOP, which is a consulting firm, which essentially are trying to analyze EGM, so the Euronext Growth Milan, as of today, and the impact of AI and the growth of AI company within basically that space. So EGM is basically kind of the tech public company hub for Italian firm. And there are some interesting results if you match that with what's happening in AI. So just to give a few information, there are like about 204 companies which is public on EGM as of April 2025, roughly. Of those 204, about 25 companies are heavily relying on AI either in their value proposition or in their product. So it's a good chunk actually, which is getting activated thanks to AI. So not bad, because we can see how pervasive, again, the AI is, even in public companies. What is also interesting is that they are also crafting what is called an AI index, which, some people have been doing it in more sophisticated and bigger markets. So basically they gathered about 25 companies, and we're trying to track the performance, compare with the FTSE Italy growth, and surprising results. I mean, of course, AI is growing faster, plus 19%. In terms of performance, against the minus 23% of the FTSE Italy growth. Now, let's take it face value. There are a ton of things to say about it, but it's an interesting insight to say. And another element is that about 14% of the entire EGM is made up by AI companies. So capitalization, the full capitalization of the market, is predominantly becoming, occupied by AI companies. So very, very interesting insight, and thanks, Link, for mentioning that. That's super helpful.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see how that evolve. As I expect more companies to move AI to the core. If you take a look at least the EGM companies with AI at their core, not all of them are probably AI native. So they were started recently with AI at their core. They became focused on AI later on. I'm a wave to name one. And that's interesting, though. It seems that in our economy, the companies are transitioning towards AI, and that's a good signal, I would say.
Absolutely. Another very interesting point from the report is that 37% of those startups derive a significant share of revenue from outside the EU. So the idea is that, exactly, even though there are Italian AI companies, their growth is heavily dependent on a very global market. So again, it's another signal. Geography is becoming really more and more irrelevant, especially in certain sector. If that's the case, it's a big chunk of revenue and growth for sure. So very, very interesting for sure.
Yeah, good, very good.
All right, last mention for this episode, let's talk about DataMaster, publishing a research about the demand for AI and data science talent based on 18,000 open positions on LinkedIn across Q1 2025. Yeah, what's your take on this, Nick?
I think it is interesting. I mean, it is also to see the demand for this type of profiles. The demand appears strong. And there are some signals that I mean, also at the regional level in Italy, there are some results that you wouldn't expect. So it seems that southern Italy, that is often thought as a not as advanced in the tech ecosystem as northern Italy, we actually have a very high demand for AI related roles with respect to, in general, tech positions. And that's interesting. I mean, so there's a higher incidence of demand for data science and related roles. That's interesting. And the second takeaway, it's currently, if you specialize in some techniques and tools, PyTorch, for example, you can command a premium on the market. So, and the sizable premium in your salary as well. So more than 10% with respect to the average.
Very interesting. Yeah. I wonder whether faculties and the research center are really keeping up with this demand, like people are subscribing and trying to enter into the AI and the in data space. Like how are university behaving given this huge demand? I mean, that's gold for them for sure. So very curious to see like the beginning of the funnel, right? Like how exactly you start the specialization. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, this brings us to an end. Thank you, Nick, for joining, and thank you everyone for listening, and I'll see you everyone next week.
Ciao, Jack. Take care and see you everybody in a week.